you're in no contact. Your ex starts orbiting. Suddenly, your heart starts racing. They haven't texted, they haven't called, they haven't apologized, but somehow one little story of you is enough to make you wonder if they're coming back. You tell yourself, don't get too excited, but then they watch another story, maybe react to it. They like a post, and you start thinking, maybe they miss me. Maybe they're thinking about me. Maybe this means something. And before you know it, you're emotionally invested all over again. Today, I'm going to share a real-life case study of a woman who fell into this exact trap. She thought her ex's breadcrumbs meant there was still hope. And what happened next is exactly why you should never react to breadcrumbs from your ex, especially if they're avoidant. And what makes this story so heartbreaking is that the mistakes this woman made didn't come from desperation. They came from hope. If you're new here, hi, my name is Lucia. I'm a dating and relationship expert specializing in helping you get your ex back or to get over your ex. And if you're not new, you're part of my no contact army. Welcome back. Always wonderful to have you. Okay, so the viewer wrote, we didn't even have a fight or anything. His cat died, and I called him out for ghosting me on my birthday, saying it hurt my feelings, and he discarded me via email and went back to his ex. We weren't even in a relationship, just friends. What did I say about being friends in my video from last week? If you're not sure, go check it out. I'll put the link in the upper right-hand corner. But he did tell me he loves me and felt connected to me. Yeah, but he also said you're friends. So that doesn't matter that he said he loves you and feels connected. 2 months after the discard, I was still in no contact. He started orbiting. And this is where the trouble began, because people mistake orbiting for investment. They think, he must miss me. She must be thinking about me. He must want to come back. Maybe. But here's the thing. People who want to rebuild a relationship know how to send a text. Yeah, I know. What a shock. They actually also know how to make a phone call. What? Crazy. And they know how to ask to see you. Watching your stories is not reconciliation. Watching your stories is watching your stories. Liking a post is liking a post. That's it. Then she says, I sent him a message saying I wasn't upset. I was trying to see if I can make him feel safe. But he didn't reply, yet continued orbiting. And that was her first major mistake. He discarded her. He went back to his ex. He ignored her, yet she found herself reassuring him. Why? Because she believed that if she made him feel safe, he might come back. People become so focused on making their ex comfortable that they stop protecting themselves. So instead of asking, well, what have they done to earn access to me again? They ask, how can I make them feel safe enough to return? And those are two very different mindsets. And if you want help to figure out how to make your ex return without necessarily making them feel safe or unsafe, I do private coaching, and you can contact me at theartoflove.net/coaching, and we will send you the rates. They are not on the website. And the direct link is underneath every single video and podcast. Okay, so then she goes on to say, since it was his birthday, I impulsively sent him a package of candy dicks, saying, happy birthday, eat a bag of dicks. The day of the delivery was the day he stopped orbiting. I thought I may have offended him. So this is where things start to go sideways, because notice what happens psychologically. He was investing very little. She started investing more. And that's one of the biggest traps after a breakup, because the less certainty people have, the more they try to create certainty through action. So they send messages, gifts, flowers. Yeah, I'm talking to you guys who send flowers. Explanations. They try harder. That's not how attraction works. Maybe he would have found it funny if they were in a healthy, connected relationship, but they weren't. The relationship had already experienced rejection, distance, silence, confusion, and hurt feelings. Humor depends on emotional safety. And when emotional safety is gone, what feels playful to one person can feel passive aggressive or angry or emotionally loaded to another. And so then she goes on to say, so I sent him a note saying it was an impulse purchase, and last year he thought the idea was hilarious, and hopefully he still thinks it's funny, and no hard feelings. He still didn't respond. After a week of silence, he blocked me. And this was probably her biggest mistake, because once she sensed the situation slipping away, anxiety took over. And that's what happens. You make one wrong move and you don't get the right response, so you get more anxious, you get more desperate, then you make another wrong move, and then, well, you'll see where we end up. So now she wasn't just sending a gift. She was explaining the gift, clarifying it, managing the interpretation, trying to fix the gift. And every time you do that, you reveal how emotionally invested you are. Part of the reason no contact works is because your ex doesn't know how emotionally invested you are. In fact, they assume that they might be losing you for good and that you are no longer emotionally invested. And remember, people don't come back because you're emotionally invested. They come back because they are. So they have to have some doubt as to how invested you are. And to help you with no contact, I do have my app Silencio, where if you're about to break no contact, just hit the panic button and you'll get a nice little message from me, and sometimes not so nice message telling you exactly why you should not send that message. And the link to that is underneath every single video and podcast. And for those of you who like to read, there is still some of us there that like to read, then you can check out my book, NoContactSecrets.com, where you can read 2 free chapters before you purchase the book. And the link to that is also underneath every single video and podcast. So finally, she says that she blocked him because when he didn't respond after a week of silence, he blocked her. So then she blocked him, she said, for her own healing. She said, I miss him badly, and now I know I really messed up. No contact. Maybe the block will remind me not to respond next time he breadcrumbs, if there is a next time. I keep thinking after his birthday gift, he'll never forgive me. So, ironically, that may be the healthiest thing she did, not because it punished him, but because she finally stopped participating in a dynamic that was hurting her. So, the biggest mistake was that she kept overriding reality because she was trying to manage her feelings instead of paying attention to his actions. He had already discarded her by email, went back to his ex, ignored her message, and only orbited passively. Orbiting is not investment. It's low-risk curiosity. Instead of letting him come forward and do actual work, she tried to create safety for him while abandoning her own self-respect, and that never leads to anything good. The second major mistake was breaking no contact emotionally, even if technically she was being strategic. So sending the I'm not upset message was reassurance after he had hurt her, and that teaches someone that they can disappear, discard you, and still receive warmth and emotional availability from you. Then, of course, the birthday package completely changed the emotional frame from mysterious to self-controlled to reactive to impulsive. Even if you found it funny before, context matters. So after conflict and distance, it came across as angry, wounded, passive-aggressive, or emotionally chaotic, especially because she followed it up with another explanatory note afterwards. The follow-up explanation hurt her even more because it showed anxiety and damage control. And another major mistake was calling him out too early and too emotionally when he was already overwhelmed. Because his cat died, he ghosted her, she confronted him about her birthday. Her feelings were valid. Nobody wants to have their birthday forgotten. But timing matters with avoidance or emotionally unavailable people. When they already feel pressure, guilt, grief, or emotional overload, confrontation usually pushes them into escape mode rather than accountability mode. Now, that doesn't make their behavior acceptable, but it explains the dynamic. And she also made the classic mistake of overinterpreting breadcrumbs. He viewed stories, he orbited, so she assumed, like most people do, that there was emotional movement. Maybe there was, but until someone actually reaches out consistently and directly, breadcrumbs are not reconciliation. They're emotional fishing, as I've said before. So she was responding to potential instead of responding to any actual effort that was going on. And then finally, she kept talking after the connection was already broken. Once he ignored the first message, silence would have been the more powerful move. The gift, then the clarification note afterward, it created the feeling that she was emotionally spinning out of control while he stayed still. And that imbalance kills attraction. And luckily, her instincts at the very end, as I said, were more correct than her earlier ones, blocking him for healing and recognizing that responding to breadcrumbs was hurting her is actually the healthiest part of this whole story. So the tragedy is that none of her mistakes came from being manipulative or selfish or cruel. They came, as I said in the beginning, from hope, because she wanted to believe the orbiting meant something. She wanted to believe the breadcrumbs were leading somewhere. She wanted to believe that if she explained herself correctly, reassured him enough, or made him feel safe enough, things would work out. But relationships are rebuilt through effort, not breadcrumbs, through communication, not story views. So if an ex really wants another chance, they are capable of much more than watching. They're capable of reaching out, having a conversation, taking a risk. And until they do not let breadcrumbs convince you that meaningful progress is happening when nothing is actually happening. So now I want to hear from you. If you have any questions or comments about anything I've said, please comment below. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos or episodes. And remember, love inspires, empowers, uplifts, and enlightens.